No one is audible.
We'll be starting in a few minutes.
Okay, thank you, Di.
Okay, the silence. I'm audible. Raise your hands, please.
Yes.
Kindly do not unmute yourselves. So, hello everyone. Really warm welcome to all. I hope you all are well and are taking the best care of your health, right? So, what's this hype all about and why we are here? Well, we are about to lay the foundation for the Code Chef chapter for Amity University, Rajasthan. And this is just a mandatory introductory session for all of us. The vision of this Code Chef chapter for our university is to improve and promote coding culture within our campus. The Amity's official Code Chef chapter will be mentored primarily by Professor G.L. Saini, whom we all know is sufficiently equipped with all nitty-gritty of data structures and algorithm. He is one of the best faculty you can approach with your doubts, and he always entertains doubts irrespective of its own subject. Make sure you reach him when he's on the campus. Surely the seeds of this will not be harvested any soon, but by being the part of the journey, we all are doing a noble deed for junior batches to come. My name is Sparsh. I'm an undergraduate student enrolled in the BTech CSE program. My batch is 2019-23. What I hold here is the position of the president in the Code Chef chapter of Amity, and we have with us a very well organized team equating to 4 people. And we are looking for more participations from you people. The number 4, which is of course not limited, but since we are in a very early phase of our journey, so the number seems to be justified. Thank you all for being the part of it. I'll make sure the recording for this session will be available for you guys to watch again. And thank you once again. Over to you, Ashima.
Hello, everyone. I would like to welcome you all once again on behalf of CodeShift Chapter AUR. CodeShift Chapter AUR is definitely something we all should be excited about. What fuels this excitement is our desire to stand out from the crowd, which is why we are bringing this in our college to have coding battles. During the course of this session, we will be slowly building our understanding of what competitive programming is and why CodeShift is a suitable platform for the same. So, the question arises, what is programming? Would anybody like to answer? Is it C, C++, Java, or Python? Well, of course not. These are mere programming languages. Then what is programming actually? So when I ask this question, what is programming? We can take the analogy of an example like, what is painting? Is it just paintbrush or the colors? No. Computer programming is the process of designing and building an executable computer program to accomplish a specific computing result or to perform a specific task. And we are free to use any programming language to accomplish these tasks. These languages merely work as an interface between us and the computer. These languages can be domain-specific in nature or can be simply advancements of the earlier versions. For example, SQL, Structured Query Language or SQL, is used to work with data in databases. On the other hand, we have HTML, that is Hypertext Markup Language. It is what web pages read to render the actual text and graphics on web pages. How about getting an insight of how programmers find their jobs justified? So let's take a glance over a real-life scenario of a telecom company. Over to you, Sparsh.
So we all know that the population of India has crossed 130 crores. I mean, it is somewhere near to 135 or maybe whatever the number is. So it is ever growing since we all know that. We assume that at least 100 crore people possess a cell phone at least, if not a smartphone. Hence, 100 crores active SIM cards are roaming in the country right now. So is this a problem for us? Nope. Here only the ever-growing population might be a problem for someone, but that is not our concern. So what is our concern? Where does programming finds its implementation? So suppose that only Jio Telecom is the only service provider left, and it is running an update in its customer database, which requires it to fetch the address details for its each customer. So how this will look like? There must be a list of SIM cards and associated Aadhaar cards somewhere, right? The telecom operator in this case will make a request to the Aadhaar card database, which we all know the government has control over. The computer will look into the database and search for an Aadhaar card in that list. If I talk about myself, I'm very bad with luck. And my bad luck doesn't let me feel alone here too. My Aadhaar card somehow manages to be at the end of the list in the Aadhaar card database. Now, as this goes up, the computer will try to find a match with each Aadhaar card in encounters the database. And at the end, it will reach till the last column and will fetch my Aadhaar card details from that database. Now, somehow, in the whole process, 1 billion operations were performed. How we can say that 1 billion operations were performed? Because one operation accounts for matching my Aadhaar card provided by the telecom operator with the Aadhaar card number from the government managed database. So each time the computer did, what it did is it looked for my Aadhaar card in that database. It iterated over the database. It looked upon all the Aadhaar cards which were lying there. It matched my Aadhaar card with the other Aadhaar card in the database. If the match is found, it will fetch the results. If the match was not found, it will not fetch the results. Now, as I've told you that my Aadhaar card was at the last of the list, so the computer will match each Aadhaar card with my Aadhaar card number in that database. So it will require around, since there are, I already told you that we can assume that at least 100 crore people have Aadhaar card in India right now. So 100 crore iterations, I mean, that equates to 1 billion. So 1 billion operations were performed. So for a matter of fact, we can say that a computer can perform 1 billion operations in a second. We all know that computers are really fast nowadays. So how much time this whole process actually took? So my Aadhaar card detail was fetched in 1 second. And 1 second, you could say that it is not a problem. 1 second is actually fast. But it's not about me. The company has to fetch data for all the remaining people. And how many people are remaining? Still, I would say approximately 100 crore people are remaining. So 1 second for each people. So 100 crore seconds we have to wait, which equates to this many hours, right? And this many days and this many years. So that single operation will now require 31.7 years. So is it something feasible? What do you guys say? To wait for a simple task, do we have to really wait for 31.7 years? Or we can do something to it? This is obviously this is not practical. So here programmers step in. Another approach could be that the Aadhaar cards in that database were stored in an ascending order. And by using a very simple algorithm, binary search algorithm, it will hardly take 30 seconds to fetch the whole details. Only 30 seconds. So isn't it something really wonderful? Earlier it was taking 32 years to complete something, and now it is done in 30 seconds. So this is how programmers earn their bread and butter. They try to compete with time and computer memory, since both of them are too expensive to be wasted. We all know that fact, right? So over to you, Ashima.
Now the question comes, what is competitive programming? So it is nothing but mind sports. Mind sports is that we train our mind by solving interesting problems uniquely with time and memory space constraints such that the solution is the most optimized one. Solving interesting problems with data structures and algorithms make our life easier as a coder. So then why should we do competitive programming? Well, one major advantage is that it helps in building logical and problem-solving skills, which are required to qualify any technical interview. Otherwise, it has many benefits like making you placement ready and helps you to focus more and makes you faster. It requires time, but it is definitely fruitful at the end. Now the question comes, how do we get started? Well, in order to get started, one must be proficient in any of the object-oriented programming languages like C++, Java, or even Python, which can be achieved only by practicing. Next is that you should be well versed with the data structures and algorithms, and this requires a hardcore practice again. After being through with all these steps, you are set to compete in contests which will help you in boosting confidence and most importantly, have fun while doing in order to stick around for more time. Now, we can use many languages for competitive programming language, as I mentioned earlier. So now look at the pros and cons of languages that we can use. Number one, C++. Well, it is the language which is used by the competitive programmers in majority, and it is because it has the fastest executing time and an incredible standardized temporary library support, which will save you a lot of time and less boilerplate code. Therefore, it is preferred language by world champions. Now, Java. It has a fast execution time, but it is a bit slower than C++, and it has more boilerplate, which acts as an advantage. Python, it is good for beginners as they can stress more on logic than on engineering. But the drawback we get here is that it has a very slow execution time, which is around 5 times more than the execution time of C++.
So Ashima has thrown some light, and she has explained very well and gave us an insight about the journey. So let's fight a contest then. वेट, सभी ने पबजी या वैसा कोई गेम तो खेला ही होगा, आई एम डैम श्योर। तो अपन थोड़ा उसी से एक रेलेवेंट एग्जांपल ले लेते हैं। मान लेते हैं कि आपके पास अपोनेंट को शूट करने के लिए एक बढ़िया गन है, आपने एम किया, ट्रिगर दबाया, एंड देन व्हाट, बैंग, अपोनेंट डाइड। नो, समहाउ यू डिस्कवर्ड कि आपके पास एमओ यानी बुलेट्स ही नहीं है। फिर गन का होना या ना होना कोई मायने ही नहीं रखता, हर बार मैच में उतारा जा रहा है, आपको बढ़िया गन मिल रही है लेकिन एमओ ही नहीं मिल रहा, तो खाली बंदूक क्या ही चलाओगे। बिल्कुल वैसा ही सीपी में भी होता है। सीपी मतलब कॉम्पिटेटिव प्रोग्रामिंग। यहाँ पर आपका एमओ है आपका समय, जो आपने डिवोट किया होता है प्रॉब्लम्स को प्रैक्टिस करने में, और प्रैक्टिस करते करते ही आप एक बिगिनर लेवल से एक्सपर्ट लेवल पर जाते हैं। हर एक्सपर्ट कभी ना कभी बिगिनर रहा ही होता है, तो हमें कभी ना कभी इस तरफ इनिशिएटिव लेना ही चाहिए। तो अभी हमें समझ में आया कि हमें प्रैक्टिस करनी पड़ेगी, तो सीधे ही हम कंपटीशन में उतरेंगे तो कोई सेंस नहीं है, हम हमारा कॉन्फिडेंस भी लूज कर जाएंगे, क्योंकि कंपटीशन में ऑब्वियसली यू आर कंपीटिंग विद अदर पर्संस एंड इट इज एक्सपेक्टेड कि आप जिस लैंग्वेज को लेकर आगे बढ़ रहे हैं उस लैंग्वेज पर आपकी अच्छी कमांड हो और आपको डेटा स्ट्रक्चर्स एंड एल्गोरिदम पर भी अच्छी कमांड हो, क्योंकि प्रॉब्लम के सोल्यूशन तक पहुंचना ही एम नहीं होता। कंसिडर जेई का एग्जाम, वहां पर होता क्या है, वहां पर एक लिमिटेड टाइम कंस्ट्रेंट होता है, राइट, 3 घंटे का समय होता है, आपको पेपर सॉल्व करना होता है, ठीक है, 180 क्वेश्चंस होते हैं। सो हाउ डज दिस ऑल वर्क्स, क्योंकि टाइम एक इंपॉर्टेंट फैक्टर है। अगर सभी को एक मैं कहूँ 4-5 दिन दे दूं तो सभी जेई का पेपर कहीं ना कहीं से सॉल्व कर लेंगे, तो समय की अहमियत है, इसीलिए वहां पर टाइम कंस्ट्रेंट में एग्जाम लिया जा रहा है। तो हमें भी टाइम के रहते रहते अगर हमें हमारे सोल्यूशन तक पहुंचना है तो हमें उसके लिए डेटा स्ट्रक्चर्स और एल्गोरिदम्स दोनों को पढ़ना पड़ेगा। पढ़ने पर हमारे को कॉन्सेप्ट्स पता पड़ेंगे, हमें ये भी पता पड़ेगा कि आखिर कौन सी अप्रोच कौन सी प्रॉब्लम के लिए बेटर है, राइट। और अब ऐसा भी नहीं है कि मतलब हम प्रैक्टिस करेंगे या फिर हम, जैसे कई होता क्या है जनरली बिगनर्स के साथ प्रॉब्लम कि वो कॉम्पिटिटिव प्रोग्रामिंग जैसे किसी प्लेटफॉर्म पे चले जाते हैं, इट्स रियली इजी टू गूगल, यू नो देयर आर मेनी थाउजेंड्स ऑफ आर्टिकल्स अवेलेबल, गो टू दैट प्लेटफॉर्म एंड पार्टिसिपेट इन दैट कॉन्टेस्ट, सब कह तो यही देते हैं, लेकिन ये जर्नी इतनी आसान नहीं होती है, क्योंकि लॉजिक बिल्डिंग ऐसा नहीं होता कि आपको मतलब क्वेश्चन देखते ही चमक जाएगा। आप 100 प्रॉब्लम देखोगे तब जाके आप 10 अननोन प्रॉब्लम्स को सॉल्व कर पाओगे, और ये थोड़ी सी क्या टफ जर्नी होती है। बहुत से लोग इधर कदम नहीं रखते हैं मतलब कोडिंग वगैरह में, दे गो इनटू जॉब्स लाइक डेवलपिंग, आई मीन वेब एप्स, तो इस तरीके में मतलब कोडिंग रिक्वायर्ड होती है, लेकिन कॉम्पिटिटिव की वहां पर चर्चा नहीं होती, राइट। तो अब कौन से प्लेटफॉर्म से शुरू करें, मतलब हम शुरू कहाँ से करें? पहला तो ये कि हमको आशिमा ने बताया कि हमें डीएसए पर अच्छी थोड़ी हमारी कमांड होनी चाहिए। डीएसए वैसे हमारे कोर्स करिकुलम में है, राइट, लेकिन प्रैक्टिस मेक्स अ मैन परफेक्ट, तो आपको उनको प्रैक्टिस करना पड़ेगा। तो पहले किसी कंपटीशन में पार्टिसिपेट करें, हमें ये जान लेना चाहिए कि हमें क्या हमारी स्किल्स के ऊपर हमारी कमांड ठीक ठाक है या नहीं। तो कोड शेफ पर मैं बिगिन करने की रिकमेंड नहीं करूंगा किसी को भी। अगर आपको प्रैक्टिस करना है तो आप हैकर रैंक या हैकर अर्थ जैसे 2 प्लेटफॉर्म्स हैं, मतलब और भी होंगे, नो डाउट अबाउट इट, बट ये काफी फेमस प्लेटफॉर्म्स है, और जो आप लोगों ने फॉर्म सबमिट किया उसमें काफी ज्यादा लोगों ने हैकर रैंक या हैकर अर्थ का जिक्र किया है। तो आई वुड से कि हैकर रैंक पर स्टिक करें, क्योंकि वो एक प्रैक्टिस ओरिएंटेड प्लेटफॉर्म है। कोड शेफ के साथ एक थोड़ी सी प्रॉब्लम ये होती है कि बिगनर फ्रेंडली नहीं है। आप कोड शेफ पे जाएंगे, आपको वैसे वहां पर कोड शेफ के ऊपर डेटाबेस काफी अच्छा है, मतलब काफी ज्यादा रिसोर्सेज को कपल्ड किया हुआ है, लेकिन फिर भी एक जो हम यूनिवर्सिटी लेवल पर चीजें पढ़ते हैं, अगर हम उनको प्रैक्टिस करना चाहते हैं तो हम हैकर रैंक पर स्टिक करें। उससे हमें हमारे कम से कम असाइनमेंट्स जो है वो करने में आसानी होगी। कम से कम असाइनमेंट्स के लिए तो आपको किसी और का मुंह नहीं ताकना पड़ेगा, भाई बता दे, ये वो शेयर कर दे पीडीएफ, ये सब नहीं होगा। तो कम से कम आप लोग हैकर रैंक पर प्रैक्टिस करें, ताकि आप वहां पर अपनी कमांड बिल्ड करें एक पर्टिकुलर लैंग्वेज के ऊपर, और फिर वहां से आप कॉम्पिटिशन्स में पार्टिसिपेट करें। अब कॉम्पिटिशन्स में पार्टिसिपेट करने का मतलब ये नहीं होता, मतलब इसको एक ट्रेडिशनल कॉम्पिटिशन की तरह आप लोग ना देखें कि ऐसा होगा कि 3 घंटे का टाइम होगा, हमको एक प्रॉब्लम होगी, वैसा सॉल्व करना है। बहुत तरह के कॉम्पिटिशन्स हो सकते हैं, शॉर्ट कॉम्पिटिशन्स भी होते हैं, लॉन्ग भी होते हैं, लॉन्ग चैलेंजेस कहते हैं। आप कोड शेफ की वेबसाइट विजिट करिएगा, आपको वहां पर शॉर्ट एंड लॉन्ग चैलेंजेस दोनों मिलते हैं। कई चैलेंजेस तो मतलब महीने महीने भर तक भी चलते हैं, आप अपनी सहूलियत के हिसाब से प्रॉब्लम को सॉल्व करें, अप्रोच करें, राइट। तो कोड शेफ के ऊपर आई होप सभी का एक अकाउंट होगा, नहीं होगा तो एक बार हम देख लेते हैं कि हम अकाउंट किस तरीके से बना सकते हैं। ऐसे तो काफी बेसिक सी चीज है, codechef.com खोलेंगे, ये आपके सामने यूजर इंटरफेस आएगा, राइट। यहाँ पर ये आप एक्सट्रीम राइट में देख सकते हैं, न्यू यूजर का बटन है, आप इस पे क्लिक करें। इसके ऊपर आपसे थोड़ी सी डिटेल्स मांगेंगे, आपके यूजर नेम मांगेंगे। यूजर नेम यूनिक होता है सभी का, ताकि उसको पहचाना जा सके अक्रॉस कॉडशेफ कॉम्पिटिटर्स। नेम, ईमेल, पासवर्ड, थोड़ी सी डिटेल्स है, आप स्टूडेंट है, प्रोफेशनल है। तो यहाँ पर इस तरीके का हमको इंटरफेस दिखेगा, हम डिटेल्स एंटर करेंगे, उसके बाद में हम प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग की पड़ जाते हैं।
Hello.
Yeah.
Can you please speak in English, because there are many students from Andhra Pradesh, they don't know Hindi.
Okay, I'll do that.
भैया यहाँ कुछ विजिबल नहीं हो रहा है स्क्रीन में, अगर आप स्क्रीन शेयर कर रहे हो तो।
Excuse me, bro.
Actually, there might be a problem with your network. Please check.
Is it so?
दीदी
Am
मैंने
I
चेक
not
किया,
visible?
बहुत अच्छा है यहाँ तो नेटवर्क, बट स्क्रीन मैंने लीव करके रिजॉइन भी किया, बट वो वैसे ही वाइट आ रहा है।
Okay.
Oh,
but
okay.
it is
We understand, and I apologize for that, Jisha. Whatever your name is, Jisha.
नो
Abbas.
भैया, नो भैया, नॉट। It's
I
not
think
your fault.
you should check your internet connection, right? And whatever your problem is, I'll listen to it after the session gets over, because it's not good that we should hold 62 participants to discuss your problem.
Yes.
Okay.
Excuse me,
Thank you
भैया.
for your understanding.
Hello.
Moderators, kindly make sure that you mute every participant, and if they have any problem, approach them personally, right? So we'll look at the problem, and how does the problem looks like. For example, this is a very familiar page. If you open any problem, you will see such outlet, and then there's a problem name. Obviously the problem comes with a name, a title which is associated with that problem. It helps you to search again for that problem. Suppose you were stuck on a problem, and then you wanted to reach to your friend that kindly help me in that problem. So you can just share the problem code or problem name. He will be searching with that problem code. That will be more convenient to him, and he will reach to your problem, right? Then we have the statement. Statement is something which is like a word problem that we have discussed in mathematics. I mean, in the earlier classes, for I guess in fifth, sixth classes, we have word problems in mathematics, right? So the overall the statement is given with every problem, and we have to read that statement very carefully, because a statement gives you insight about what the program wants you to do, right? Then we have input and output format. Now, input and output format is something where most of the programmers and who are the beginners, they really don't pay much attention. They're like, okay, this is sum of digits and we have to sum digits. Okay, so I'll write a program, and then they'll think accordingly. They'll decide the input and output format according to them. But this is not the approach, right? You have to read the input and output format, I mean, very carefully. This gives you a lot of clue how your program is gonna work, because by looking at input and output, you can definitely decide what is happening inside the box, right? Then there is something which is known as constraints. Constraints can give you an idea about what are the I would say data types involved. For example, in this program, we are required to have an integer which is less than 1, and which is greater than 1 and less than 1000. So I would say that I would be using a short integer, which is of course saving me around 1 byte or 2 byte, rather than using an integer, right? So we have to think of saving the memory also. After going through that, we can have the input and output example. This is the exact example, input and output format which your program should be working upon. So this is what the computer will input to your program, and this is the expected output. So you have to get a very nice idea about proper input formatting. Your program should be taking input as it is mentioned, no more, no less. Okay. Another thing is time limit and source limit. So what does time limit? I mean, what is time limit? So time limit, as we all know, that time is something which we were talking about, because we were, as we have looked into the previous example, we are not supposed to wait for 32 years for a single problem to be solved. Earlier, we were fetching data from a database. So if we are not familiar with the data structures and algorithm, then we have to wait for 32 years. And if we are having a little bit idea about what is binary search algorithm and sorting the data, then we can complete in a much faster time. So we should take care of the time limit specified, because we have to write the program in order that it should fetch the output within the time limit. Now next is source limit. What is source limit? Your program must be using very much less amount of memory. Memory is expensive, we all know that. And when, for example, if you want to, suppose you want to play a movie, right, and you open VLC media player. Now what will happen if the VLC media player, when it opens up, it will occupy 3 GB of your RAM? I mean, you will be annoyed why this simple video player is occupying 3 GB of RAM. So that we can say that it is occupying very large amount of memory, and that is something which is not optimum, because we require RAM for other tasks also. So we have to look for a program that it occupies very less amount of memory, and we should try to save every byte of a program. If a program can be solved using 5 integers, and you can also solve it using 15 integers, you must try to solve it in 5 integers only. The lesser the memory, the more optimum your program is, the higher your solution will be rated amongst the competitors. Okay, so these are something which this is something which acts as a tiebreaker, right? Time limit and source limit. You have also solved the problem in the limited time. For example, there was a competition and 3 hours time was there. You also submitted a solution to the problem. Your competitor also submitted a solution to the problem. Now your solution is taking, I would say, 10 seconds to complete, to fetch the answer, and your opponent is taking 15. Your opponent's solution is taking 15 seconds to fetch the answer. So definitely your solution will be rated higher. Your solution will be considered more optimum, right? So this is what the problem layout page looks like, and I hope everyone is clear with what each column specifies. So let's move further and let's look at the outcomes of submission. So this is it is not, I would say, that CodeChef oriented. These are the very familiar errors which you may encounter if you practice on any platform. It might be a compilation error. When your program has some kind of syntactical error, you might be missing a semicolon, or curly braces were missed out, or you didn't place the, I would say, circular braces around your if condition. So that might be a compilation error. Or you missed to declare an integer, but you have used it. Or you maybe tried to reinitialize a static variable. So that might be the case. Another would be the time limit exceeded. Obviously, as I have told you, that we compete with time every time. I mean, we programmers try to give our best within a limited time range. So we try to compete within the time range. So if our solution takes more than the time specified, the CodeChef judge, I mean, you can consider there's a virtual judge sitting behind the computer. So it will throw an error that the time limit exceeded. Another error could be a memory limit exceeded. Obviously, for example, consider a program when I've told someone that you must print the sum of first 100 natural numbers. So the programmer, what would you do? I mean, we all are, very familiar, and what we could be using a for loop. So we could be starting from integer I, and then we will be adding 1 plus 2 plus 3 up to the 100th number. But suppose somebody doesn't know about for loops. So what he could be doing, he could be declaring 100 variables, and then he will be adding 100 variables, and then he will be storing it in another variable, or he may directly throw the output. So somehow he's using, I would say, 100 or 101 variables, which is very, I would say, a very naive approach to that problem. Nobody does that. So this is how we can imagine what kind of error can be, what kind of problems the memory limit exceeded can show us. Another is a runtime error. So runtime error is what? Sometimes, when we compile our programs, it is not necessary that there are only compilation errors. Sometimes it is possible that there are some errors which are not detected by the compiler because the syntax was correct, but somehow the logic was not correct, right? Somehow your program might end up in an infinite loop, or maybe your program, maybe a segmentation fault occurs. Segmentation fault is when you try to access a restricted memory area, when your program is not supposed to go beyond that memory range. So a segmentation fault may occur. Or the last two are pretty obvious: wrong answer or accepted. Wrong answer is, we all know, when our program doesn't accurately does what it is supposed to do. And this is not the problem. This is not the problem of your computer or your compiler or your syntax. This is the problem which was caused because you were not able to solve the problem completely. So you mistaken somewhere in between the program, and down the line there was some error. Your answer is not correct. And the last is accepted. We all know, if our program does everything within the time range, within the memory range, then our solution is accepted, right? So this is how this is what various errors might be looking like on your screen. So let's now try to solve a problem. Okay, we have enough of explanation, we have enough of guidance. So let's now look at how to solve a problem. I'll pause for a moment here. Let me open the link. In the meanwhile, Ashima, would you like to add up something?
Yes, of course. I think this is a very good opportunity for everyone, as it certainly proves that you're good at coding and a competitive person, which will definitely be highlighted and is a skill you can flaunt about. If you are currently in the first year, then trust me, this is the best time to start. But if you're not, then I think it's better late than never. So I would highly recommend you all to take part in the organized contest by CodeChef tomorrow. It will be specifically for the students of AUR. So you won't need to worry much about who is participating and am I good enough. It will be a really friendly contest, I would say.
Is my screen visible to you all?
Yes, now it is visible.
Okay, so let's try to approach a problem, and let's try to solve this problem as okay. So I'll show you what are the steps involved and how do we approach a problem on a practice platform or a competitive platform. So this is the page. This is usually a page associated with each problem. Each unique problem has its own page in which you can find the problem statement, input, output, constraints, sample input, sample output. Okay, so this is the data which has been provided to you. Now you have to think of the solution. You have to design your own logic, an optimum logic that you can solve the problem with. So let's look at this problem which says that we have to find a maximum of 3 numbers. So let me read out the statements for you guys. Write a program that accepts sets of 3 integers and prints the maximum among the 3. The first line contains the number of triples. The next line which follows have 3 space separated integers. For now, the output says is that we print the maximum of the 3 integers. Let's look at the sample input. Okay, here we inputted 3. Then we have 3 sets. Then we have the maximum of the 3 numbers. So here 3 was the maximum number. So 3 was thrown out. 10 was thrown out from the second test case, and obviously 999 would be the largest number, so this will be thrown out. Now let's look at the constraints. So by looking at the constraint, I can say that number of test cases would be less than 20. So my program will not be requiring more than, I guess, will not require a different data type. A short integer would suffice it. And by looking at the integer range, okay, so here's something interesting. Now the integer which the CodeChef judge might be putting in a program to test it, that its range could be from 1 to 1000 and 000. So anyone would like to answer what is the maximum number of what is the maximum range that an integer data type can store? Anyone from the first year? Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible. Would anybody like to answer?
What is the maximum range for an integer data type? Okay, let's not waste much time about it. So the maximum integer range which you will be studying and your professor will be telling you is from, if it is an unsigned integer, that is it starts from 0, then the maximum integer which you could store in an integer data type is 65,500 and I guess 36. And if it is an signed integer, so the range will vary from minus 32767 up to 32767. So at the first glance it is very clear that we cannot use a regular integer, right? But wait for a second, that's the case with the obsolete, I would say, the compilers which were used earlier. Nowadays we have a compiler where integer range is much higher than 32,767, because most of the compilers have 4-byte integers nowadays, so we don't have to worry about it. And I would like to tell you that I have already tested it, so mark my words, note down somewhere if you like, so you may not stumble upon this fact again, that this is the permissible range for integers on CodeChef. So let's try to solve this problem. We have enough of discussion. So I want to compare 3 numbers, so I'll start with including header files, then I'll mention the main function which is necessary. Now I have to declare an integer which is counter for storing the number of test cases the user will be inputting. Make sure to use the scanf percentage d format specify for integer, and then I'll be using an ampersand sign mentioned by, followed by an the integer name in which we are about to store the inputted value. So now let's run a for loop because we want to input each set every time. So let's run it up to the specified limit, that is the counter. So now let's input the 3 numbers. As we can see that there were 3 numbers in each line. So we need to store 3 numbers, right? That could be num1, num2 and num3. Now num1, num2 and num3, so I have not declared them, so let me declare them, num1, num2 and num3. Okay, so now I need to compare them. I could have either gone through I would say if else block, or I could have also used the ternary operator. Anybody have any idea about, hope you remember ternary operator. Anybody would like to guide me? So this is what a ternary operator.
That's a shorthand for if-else condition.
What?
Ternary operator is a shorthand for if-else condition.
Yeah, you are very correct. If I wanted, I could have used the if-else conditions, but this will make my program much lengthier. I just wanted to write everything that is required to compare these 3 numbers in a single line. So kindly watch it carefully, right? Otherwise you will miss what I am writing. So this is a binary condition, right? Num1 is greater than num2, followed by a question mark, then a true block, right? Then a false block. So what this statement will equate to, it will equate to the largest of the 2 numbers. If it is num1, then num1, this will equate to num1, and if it is the num2 is greater than num1, then num2 will be the output. So let me store it into another integer variable result, and let me equate it to the result variable. Okay, so the result variable will now hold the greater of the 2 numbers. If it is num1, then num1 will be stored, and if it is num2, then num2 will be stored. But we have to compare 3 numbers here. So what I could be doing is I could make this statement act as an integer for another ternary operator, for another for another statement involving a ternary operator. So this could be my first number, which is compared with the remaining number, which is num3, right? and I should be enclosing it in brackets, so that might not be a problem. Let me enclose it in brackets. So here the num1, num2, the greater of them will be compared to num3, and if it is greater than num3, then we want the output to be this. Bear with me, just I'll take no more than 2 minutes to complete this. Okay, so this is now at the end we have to print the largest of the three numbers. So what would be the largest? The largest number would be stored in the result variable. Now, since we looked upon the output format, we remember that each time the output was printed, it was printed on the next line. So I am using this \n new line character to force my output to print onto a new line every time. Let me close this for loop. And since my main function has a return type of int, so let me complete it with the return statement. And once again, I should look at my code that there is no compilation error. I don't want to feel embarrassed in front of you guys. So num1. I think my solution is correct, and any problems. Let's try to run it. Hope so this is the correct solution for this problem, or else we will see a compilation error. Okay. Now you can hold the control button and you can look at the compilation error. Okay, so I was undeclared. Oh, so very poor error. I am not declared I. This is are there any errors? Okay. Well, let me see if I missed any semicolon over there. Let me try. I hope my solution is correct at this point. No more compilation errors. Let's try to break this problem rather than doing in one go. Let's try to declare two variables, result1 and result2. Okay. And what I'll be doing is I'll compare the two numbers at a single go. So result1 would be storing the greater of the two numbers, num1 or num2. And then we will go num3 is greater than result1. I hope this is correct this time, and then we will Okay, so this seems to be correct at this point. I hope it runs. Okay, thank God. So this was the correct answer. My answer was was accepted, and the execution time, which was very, it was very less, might be in nanoseconds. So this is how we approach to a problem. One thing I would like to add you for you guys, that you can visit the CodeChef page, and you can see that this is a new program, new to programming. You can start here. You can click on this tab. You will see a ton of resources. Okay, well done. You can see tons of resources listed there. So you can, if you want to practice, you can go to this link, practice easy problems. Then you can select the beginner level, and you can start solving the problem, right? You could be solving the first problem, second, third, fourth, fifth. You can do like that. What I prefer is I usually do practice on HackerRank, right? So this is my HackerRank dashboard, and it is very user friendly. As you can see that it is it seems like an old style HTML web page, whereas this is a decent graphical user interface. So this is your HackerRank dashboard. It looks like this. You can select any of the languages you want to practice. For example, if you want to practice C++ concept, you can go there. You can select the subdomains which you would like to practice. For example, if you want to solve basic introductory questions, so you could be solving the introductory questions. I've already solved that much, so I really don't consider going there. So this is how you can begin your journey. I wish you luck, that you may be achieving much more in competitive programming as compared to the other people who have been in this university. We'll be having regular, I would say, workshops, and we will be having regular competitions, and we will be rewarding the winners. So tomorrow we will be having a competition, just to have a nice idea. How does a competition looks like? So I hope I will see you all there. And once again, thank you all for attending the workshop. And is there anything you would like to add, Ashima?
Yes, Sparsh. I would just tell everyone to be there at the contest tomorrow, as it is going to be a really user friendly one, and you will get a nice idea how CodeChef works. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. You can leave now. Thank you so much. Is there any doubt? Anyone wants to ask anything? There were some people who were willing to ask